Nietzsche and the Will to Power: How to Become Truly Strong. What does it mean to be truly strong? Is it physical dominance, unshakable confidence, or the ability to bend the world to your will? Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most provocative philosophers, would argue that true strength is none of these things, at least not in the way we commonly understand them. It's not about brute force or external validation. It's about something far deeper, far more transformative. The will to power. But what is the will to power? Is it a call to dominate others, to rise above the weak, or to impose your will on the world? Not quite. Nietzsche's concept is far more nuanced and far more personal. It's about the relentless drive to become the fullest, most authentic version of yourself. It's about embracing struggle, overcoming limitations, and creating meaning in a world that often feels chaotic and indifferent. Imagine this. You wake up one day and realize that the life you're living is not your own, that the goals you've been chasing, the values you've been upholding, and the identity you've been clinging to are not truly yours. They've been handed to you by society, by culture, by the expectations of others. You've been living on autopilot, following a script written by forces outside of yourself. Nietzsche would call this a life of slave morality, a life governed by fear, conformity, and the need for approval. But what if you could break free? What if you could tap into the raw, untamed energy of your own will to power and forge a life that is truly, unapologetically yours? This is not just a philosophical idea, it's a call to action. Nietzsche believed that every individual has the potential to transcend their circumstances, to rise above the herd mentality, and to create their own values. But this journey is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront the darkest parts of yourself. So, how do you begin? How do you awaken your will to power and become truly strong? Let's dive into Nietzsche's radical philosophy and uncover the steps to unlocking your inner strength. Before we can talk about true strength, we must first understand what it means to be weak. Nietzsche believed that most people live in a state of weakness, not because they lack physical power, but because they lack the courage to think for themselves. They follow the crowd, adhere to societal norms, and seek validation from others. They live according to slave morality, a system of values that prioritizes comfort, security, and conformity over individuality and self-expression. Think about it. How often do you make decisions based on what others will think? How often do you suppress your true desires because they don't align with societal expectations? This is the essence of weakness, a life lived in fear of judgment, rejection, and failure. But Nietzsche's philosophy offers a way out. He believed that true strength begins with a radical shift in perspective. It requires you to question everything you've been taught, to challenge the values you've inherited, and to create your own meaning in a world that often feels meaningless. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is the concept of the will to power. This is not a desire to dominate others, but a fundamental drive to grow, to create, and to overcome. It's the force that pushes you to become more than you are, to transcend your limitations, and to embrace the challenges that life throws your way. Imagine a tree growing in a rocky landscape. It doesn't complain about the lack of soil or the harsh conditions. It simply grows, stretching its roots deeper and its branches higher, driven by an innate will to survive and thrive. This is the will to power in action, a relentless, life-affirming force that exists within all of us. But here's the catch. The will to power is not something you can passively wait for. It's something you must actively cultivate. It requires you to embrace struggle, to face your fears, and to push beyond your comfort zone. As Nietzsche famously said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or overman, is often misunderstood. It's not about becoming a superhuman or a tyrant. It's about becoming the fullest, most authentic version of yourself. The Übermensch is someone who has transcended societal norms, embraced their own values, and created their own meaning in life. Think of the Übermensch as a sculptor, chiseling away at the block of marble to reveal the masterpiece within. The process is messy, painful, and often chaotic, but the result is something extraordinary, a life that is truly your own. So, how do you become the Übermensch? It starts with self-awareness. You must be willing to look deep within yourself, to confront your fears, your insecurities, and your darkest desires. You must be willing to question everything you've been taught and to create your own values. Nietzsche believed that life is inherently chaotic and meaningless. But rather than seeing this as a reason for despair, he saw it as an opportunity. If life has no inherent meaning, then you have the freedom to create your own. This is the essence of true strength, the ability to embrace the chaos, to find meaning in the struggle, and to create something beautiful out of the raw materials of your existence. It's about saying yes to life, even when it's painful, difficult, or uncertain. As Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When you tap into your will to power, you find your why, your purpose, your passion, your reason for being. And with that, you can endure any how. Nietzsche's philosophy is not for the faint of heart. It requires you to confront the darkest parts of yourself, to question everything you've been taught, and to embrace the chaos of life. But for those who are willing to take the journey, the rewards are immense. True strength is not about dominating others or achieving external success. It's about becoming the fullest, most authentic version of yourself. It's about creating your own values, embracing the struggle, and saying yes to life in all its complexity. So, the question is, will you rise to the occasion? Will you awaken your will to power and become truly strong? The choice is yours. To truly embrace Nietzsche's philosophy, you must confront your shadow, the parts of yourself that you've repressed, denied, or ignored. These are the aspects of your personality that society has taught you to reject. Your anger, your jealousy, your selfishness, your ambition. But here's the truth. Your shadow is not your enemy. It's a source of immense power. When you integrate your shadow, you reclaim the energy that you've been wasting on suppression and denial. You become whole. Think about it. How much of your life have you spent trying to be nice, polite, or acceptable? How much of your potential have you sacrificed to fit in? Nietzsche would argue that this is a form of self-betrayal. True strength requires you to embrace all of who you are, the light and the dark. Nietzsche didn't sugarcoat the human experience. He understood that suffering is an inevitable part of life. But he also believed that suffering is not something to be avoided. It's something to be embraced. Why? Because suffering is the catalyst for growth. It's the fire that forges strength, resilience, and wisdom. Without struggle, there can be no progress. Without pain, there can be no transformation. This doesn't mean that you should seek out suffering for its own sake, but it does mean that you should stop running from it. When you face your struggles head-on, you tap into a deeper reservoir of strength. You discover that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. One of Nietzsche's most famous declarations is that God is dead. But what does this mean? It's not a literal statement about the existence of a deity. It's a metaphor for the collapse of traditional values and belief systems. In a world where old certainties are crumbling, Nietzsche believed that we have a choice. We can cling to the past, or we can create our own values. This is the essence of the will to power, the ability to define what matters to you, to set your own standards, and to live according to your own truth. But creating your own values is not easy. It requires you to take full responsibility for your life. It requires you to stand alone, to face uncertainty, and to embrace the freedom and the burden of self-determination. Nietzsche proposed a thought experiment called the eternal recurrence. Imagine that you will live your life over and over, again, in exactly the same way, for eternity. Would you be satisfied with the life you're living now? Or would you want to change something? This idea is not about literal reincarnation. It's a challenge to live with intention, to make every moment count, and to create a life that you would be proud to repeat. When you live with the awareness of the eternal recurrence, you stop wasting time on trivialities. You focus on what truly matters. You live with passion, purpose, and authenticity. Nietzsche's philosophy is not a quick fix or a feel-good mantra. It's a call to radical self-transformation. It's an invitation to step into your power, to embrace your potential, and to create a life that is truly your own. But this journey is not for everyone. It requires courage, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to growth. It requires you to face your fears, to question your beliefs, and to embrace the unknown. So, the question remains, are you ready to become truly strong? Are you ready to awaken your will to power and step into the fullness of who you are? The choice is yours. Thanks for listening.